Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to a new video. It is Invin here, and today what I'm going to be bringing to you all is my honest first impressions of the brand new New World 3v3 PvP arenas on the live servers. Now obviously I went over these quite a little bit about 2 or 3 weeks ago when we first got access to the PTR, and obviously tried these out, gave you my opinions back then, and suggested a few things that I would like to see changed before we got it to the live servers, as well as I've been playing this throughout the progression quite a lot on the PTR. I'll be honest with you, I've been quite addicted and enjoying this game mode quite a lot, so I've been trying out a fair bit. And since then, obviously, we had the final iteration of the notes, the final polish up, and haven't played it really since the notes before the last ones that we got. So there was a nice bit of influx there of the last week or so of progression in the development of the arenas before I've tested them, which obviously is on the live version. So starting off with then, firstly, it is way better than the PTR was in every possible way. They've kind of fine-tuned and really made use of the resources that they had in the arena. They've fine-tuned the sound, which I'm going to get onto in a moment. They've fine-tuned the way that it plays out, as well as the music, obviously, and it just feels a lot more like a competitive experience now. I will get onto some of the builds, which I think are a little bit dodgy, but overall, it is much, much better, and for that, you have to give them props, because that is thanks to them listening very intently to community feedback, and acting very, very quickly on it as well to reposition the pillars, for example, and all good stuff like that, which is amazing, amazing stuff. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about, like I said there, was the sound. It's much better. It adds a very, very nice atmosphere throughout with the announcer kind of at the start. Also, when people go down, he's telling you, so even if you're not paying full attention, you can kind of see, which I actually really, really like. And I also really like the kind of music, and that adds again to the atmosphere of the arena. Obviously, when you get towards the closing section of the round, you'll get the music increase, you'll get the heartbeat kind of beating away a little bit faster, the ring of fire closing in, and it becomes quite an intense experience, something which I've actually really enjoyed and I think is unique to the arenas in New World, so that is fantastic. They've made it feel like its own individual setting, which of course it is. Now the next thing that I wanted to talk about there, of course, is the pillar position. This is a lot better than the first iterations. I haven't played it since they made the second change. The first change I did, second I haven't. And it's much, much better. You can't really get one shot off the start by everyone lining up a burr headshot. So this is much, much better, and I've really enjoyed that aspect of it as well. The UI is much cleaner and works as intended. It shows exactly the correct names of who's on each team, as well as having the see-through option of the scoreboard available as well, which is really, really cool. There isn't a play again function now, which obviously they took out of the PTR. I would like to see that added back in at some point if it correctionally functions, because the wait time between, you know, loading up a different screen, then loading back into the world and loading back into the arenas seems a little bit off. It works with OPR because it's a longer mode, but obviously with these arenas, it'd be nice to see a more seamless transition. However, it's not game breaking. It is something they can work on in the future. It's just something, if I was being nitpicky, I would like to maybe see. Then also I wanted to talk about some combinations. So the spear and the bow seems to be a bit of a fan favourite, and it is very, very powerful, so watch out for it. If you do manage to get into an arena match and you haven't got one on your team, you've got one against you, you're going to know about the CC from the spear and the damage from the spear, and you're going to know heavily about the damage from the bow. It is something I kind of covered in yesterday's video, the bow being buffed a lot, but do just watch out for that. Maybe it's a little bit early to tell, but for me personally, I do find this to be quite overpowered. That's just my first impressions, and maybe that's because I'm playing the Bruiser build. It's a direct counter, potentially, but it is very, very powerful. If it's against me, I'm getting hit by it pretty heavy, because either they're dodging away and shooting me with the bow, try and catch them up, get them in a grab well, they switch to the spear, and yeah, it's a nice counter, but I would like to see a little bit more balance going on there. Again, with the blunderbuss, and the other thing is life staffs just don't really work in the arenas. They're either really, really overpowered if someone has one on one team and that player is good at kiting and such. If they have one and they're terrible, it's just someone that goes down early doors. And if both teams have them, then it's okay, it kind of works. But again, if neither team has them, it seems to be the best fight. You're relying on things like leeching and, you know, all of the other type of heal builds that you can make with things like the Great Axe and all the other kind of weapons. So that, in my opinion, is a nicer form. I would maybe like to see a queue where there's no life staffs allowed and one where there is life staffs allowed, so players know what they're signing up for, because I'm well aware, obviously, you can pre-make a queue, a team of 3, and go in with someone with a life staff, of course, but I'm thinking from the perspective of solo players or players just queuing with randoms to have fun. The life staffs can be annoying and they can either be really good or really bad, so I do think they need to find a middle ground with that somewhere. Maybe it's because, again, it's first impressions early doors, so do let me know your guys' thoughts on that, but that's just my takeaway from the initial play-in. Now, the next thing is that most weapon combos are usable and actually feel fun. Like, majority of the weapons in the game you can use in the arenas and it will have a good impact on the small-scale PvP, which is really, really nice. I've seen people using things like the musket, obviously the bow is a big one. I've seen fire staff, ice gauntlet, void gauntlet, literally every single weapon in the game has been used. I've played about 15 or 20 games on the live servers already, and I think I've found pretty much every single weapon in the game being used in some sort of combination, which has been fun to play against, and it's also been fun to play with. I like getting killed by different combinations because you go, oh, actually, that was a pretty good combo that you got with that weapon. You try it out for yourself, you might find something new, so that has really shone through, and I think that's a great aspect to the arenas that have really shone through for the combat in New World. Obviously, there's a few clunky things that I'd like to see cleared up around the combat and stuff like that, but I'm just focusing on the arenas as a large-scale thing in this video. Now, I do like the way that they've changed the consumables as well to be the arena-specific ones. However, I've got some feedback I want to say on that in the what I would like to see section in a moment. And it does make them feel more even because everybody has access to the same stat boost food, the same honing stone, and the same access to pots. Regardless of whether you've got a coin or not on the server right now, you're going to get access to all of those every single game. But like I said, that nicely segues me into the what I would like to see section, and the first and most pinnacle thing that I cannot stress enough is the ability to set up a consumable template that the consumables adhere to every single time you enter into an arena game, to save you constantly having to drag the health pot from the inventory into your hotbar, then the stamina pot, then put your honing stone on, etc, etc, etc. Fair enough, clicking on the honing stone and clicking on the food and then using, that's not a problem, but having to set them up every single time into the hotbars, there should just be a template you can do, or at least it should go to the most recent placeholder that you had it in. So say, for example, you've kept it by default, you've got 3, 4, 5 and 6 as your hotbar keys. If you've got health pot in 3 and stamina pot in 4, always put them back to that every single time, or regen pot I should say, not stamina pot, every single time until you change it, because it would be much better. So that's the one major thing that I would really like to see the devs communicate with us and get sorted ASAP, because that's quite annoying. After a few games you kind of think, oh, again, I've got to put the health pots in, and sometimes you forget, you know, we all do. You queue up and wander off and come back and you haven't done it, and yeah, so I would really like to see that fixed. It would also be really cool to see people's PvP tracks ranked, as in how far up they've got, even if it is just the emblem, but the emblem and a number would also be really cool, so you could see what track level players that you were against and players that you were on a team with were actually at. Obviously, it doesn't indicate skill, it just pretty much indicates playtime, but of course, the more wins you get, the quicker you're going to get that leveled up, so at least for the first bit, and of course, once you progress past 200 to, you know, to these higher levels, it is going to look even cooler, and I think that would be a great little addition. Gives a little bit more incentive to leveling up the tracks other than the rewards as well. Not a major thing, but if it could happen in the future, that would be awesome. And a ranked mode, obviously, once all of the final few parts are polished up, the weapons are as balanced as they can possibly be, and all of the good stuff that needs tweaking does get tweaked, then a ranked or rated mode, whatever you want to call it, added in would be a fantastic addition to the game, and would really give this some serious replayability. Could even do it seasonally, every month, every couple of weeks, and it could give out some special rewards for that, whether it be titles, whether it be cosmetic stuff, or whether it be furniture, that type of thing. Just something that's cool and that gives people a rated system, which would be really replayable. Now, the final thing overall then, what do I think? They are a great addition to the game at a really good time where players are wanting more PvP, a lot more players overall, other than kind of the end game sweats like myself that have been here for a while, are starting to hit that high end gear score, 620 plus, looking for some PvP content, and this gives PvP content access to everybody really quickly on most servers, at least, you know, for now whilst it's new, and I'm sure this will continue in the future because this is a fun game mode. Like I said, there's plenty of chance for these to improve and get better with the addition of leaderboards, so whether that's weekly, monthly, daily, whatever you want to do, most wins, most kills, just all-time leaderboards of those sort of things would be really good. Most damage mitigated, most damage dealt, most healing done, etc, etc. You can see how I would go with that, and that would be a really, really big improvement that I think would incentivize a lot of people. Even if a ranked mode was delayed, that coming in would be a really cool thing to see how far up the leaderboards you could get, whether it's server-wide, region-wide, or indeed worldwide, which would be amazing. And of course, showing off of the PvP rank, or like I said there, a ranked mode added in the future would be amazing too. So that's lots of room to improve. And also, it is fun solo, but it's way better with teammates. So some sort of queue system where you could sign up as a damage dealer or a healer, and it would put you 2 damage dealers and a healer in the queue would be cool. But also, like I said there, maybe a separate queue for life staffs enabled, one without, and I think that would appease quite a lot of players because that seems to be the main concern at the moment. But other than that, I think it's a really fun game mode. It's got a decent amount of replayability, and with a few small improvements and additions, could be one of the core game modes that everybody raves about in New World. And I think so far I've really enjoyed it. But do bear in mind, guys, this is just my first initial impressions. Of course, I might not be right on 100% of things. This is just from my playing. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. And other than that, thank you for your time. Make sure you do subscribe if you haven't done so already. Drop me a like on today's videos. It really helps me out. It appeases the YouTube algorithm, which really helps the channel, so I'd really, really appreciate it. And other than that, I will catch you again very, very shortly on a brand new upload. So thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Take care and peace.